Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Today is Beth Mullins, head coach of the Trojan softball team. Beth, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me.
And bringing in here to talk about this year's softball season, and with all hopes you'll actually get to finish the softball season this season. But first, before we get into talk about this and talk about that and talk about last season, about having that cut off and losing the latter half of the season there.
Yeah, it was surreal. It feels like, I think everybody knows, COVID time is much longer than reality. So it feels like it was like 6 years ago. So I almost forgot until we've been mentioning it recently what it was like. But I mean, it was something that's never happened in my career or our players' career. So it was obviously devastating for us, and that we were in such a good place when that all happened. But you can either sit there and dwell on it, or you can just start working for the next year. And they have, and we have, and we're ready to go.
But of course, and you were able to know almost immediately that you would have this next year and you would be able to pick up from where you left off. And so talk about that, picking up from where you left off to where your team is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NCAA did a good thing, and they didn't wait very long to kind of tell the spring sports that they were going to get their year back, which for coaches it was nice to know that ahead of time. But it also, for us, it meant we basically kept the same team. I mean, we had a couple kids that did what they needed to do just in life because they had already had plans, jobs, graduate school, and but we kept a really valuable senior in Katie Webbs here for another year, and we didn't lose anybody in our starting lineup. So I think just the future in general, not just this year, but we've maintained a really solid foundation for quite some time.
And of course, talk about getting ready for this season, even in the world of COVID, because everything, last year got the season cut short, but this season having to do all of this to prepare with COVID. So
yeah, I think it's important that we are a spring sport, so we had the whole fall to kind of watch what everybody else was doing with volleyball and soccer and football, and go through the ups and downs of having to be mask police with our girls and going through that. But they learned from some of the mistakes we made in the fall, or just in general of how to function as a team in COVID, and it's been great. I mean, practice right now is the most normal thing I think we do. I think, for the girls, it's the most normal because they're not having to wear their mask all the time when we're practicing because we're so spread out. But I think they've really enjoyed getting back on the field. And, it's 2021 now, and I think they've really left 2020 behind.
Well, one thing I want to ask about in returning, and always with this Trojan softball team, the pitching staff. Obviously, returning all of that strength that you had there with probably one of the best pitchers around, Leanne. So obviously, how's that looking this season for pitching there?
We've kept everybody, and they kind of maintain their eligibility at the same place. So, Leanne is still a sophomore, and we've got Libby Baker and Kinsley and Haley Postel that have maintained the same thing. But we also added a transfer from the, dominant Chipola Junior College. So we're at 5 strong now. So we didn't do anything but get stronger on the mound, which, in baseball and softball, that's what it's about.
And of course, offense. And you talked about Katie coming back, but what are you looking at on the other side there?
We were off to one of the strongest starts we'd had offensively, just power numbers and everything. And our younger kids were really putting up some great numbers. So they're still young, but they're so much more experienced. They've had half a season under their belt, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. They've come back ready to rock and roll, and we'll do a lot of offense today at practice, and I just every day get excited to watch them swing the bat.
And of course, let's talk about scheduling, because obviously with COVID, scheduling has become an interesting thing, but softball relatively unscathed just due to being an outdoor sport and a lot of that going on. But there are still some interesting things with the scheduling, where it used to be pretty much a set schedule for the weekend, doubleheader, single game, and now you're looking at some of those conference schedules where it's kind of, you got 3 games, 3 days, and someday you have doubleheaders and that. So how does that play into planning and figuring out how you're going to go week to week?
Honestly, we started preparing our team in general for the unknowing. I mean, I think every sport right now has had to experience that. We're paying attention to what's happening in basketball. You are going to probably, lose a game, and you can either, be super uptight, or you can just we call it hit the curveball. Like, we've hit a lot of curveballs. We're training our kids we've changed the schedule on purpose on them just so they get used to what happens with the unknowing. But yeah, it'll be different in conference, playing some teams Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some teams just doubleheader Saturday, Sunday. But when you have pitching depth that we do, it really allows you to be really flexible with your scheduling. And our kids just want to play, and I think as coaches too, we want to play somebody besides ourselves, and we've been doing that now for it'll be 11 months almost to the day when we play somebody else since it last happened.
But of course, one of the benefits that you have, and every time we bring you on here, you talk about this, you start at home.
Yes.
Because a lot of folks want to come down here to the South. They want to be around here the early part of the season. The same holds true this year. You're going to spend a lot of time at your field to start the season off.
Yeah, we play a lot of games at home. I mean, and people want to come here. I think I have a great director of ops who help, and with her, we put together a really good tournament that people come back, and we have a lot of return visitors. But yeah, we host the first 2 weekends, so we'll have it and then play a midweek in between. So the first 11 games at least will be at home. And I think in this atmosphere and a little more controllable when you're at home, I think that's going to be great. And we've got a lot of great teams coming in. We've got SEC teams coming in each weekend, so I think it's going to be really challenging, but a lot better. It's always better when you're playing at home in front of our crowd, no matter if it's, smaller or larger in this situation.
Well, and here's hoping that everything goes well.
Yes.
That you get to finish the season this year. None of those unexpected callbacks to end the season this year. And Beth, I want to thank you for joining me today, and good luck with the season. So,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.